Hope you guys took some time over the past couple of days when, I guess officially, we're 1 week deep into the protest in Ottawa, and this is going to be a week, okay? This is going to be a week of big developments. I really do think so, because the institutions are really starting to crack down. We're going to be getting into that because there's been a lot of development since I think Thursday was the last update. Huge updates, okay? Especially because last time that we talked about the fundraising campaign, it was put on pause for a minute to be kind of revisited. So now I think everybody pretty much knows that GoFundMe canceled them, but we'll get into them in a second. But when it comes to the people that are down there on the streets, especially on Saturday, thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of people. I watched a couple of different live streams that were out there, like Viva Fry's been out there on the streets 4 or 5 times specifically. I watched most of what he was doing today, and even still there's thousands of people down there, hundreds of trucks as well, and the developments that are down there, the people themselves on the street, like you can just see even across 2 layers of communication, from the people being on camera to even just having the message transmitted to your phone or your device, however you're watching this stuff. The people down there are not being deterred by what's happening on Parliament, but it's going to get tight as this week goes on, and as we're starting to see, these lies are just getting bigger than the protests themselves, because you take a look at the people that are down there. All you see from the people at the protest itself is the love, respect, a joy of freedom, an overwhelming sense of national pride that I've never, ever seen in Canada, okay? And something else that was brought out, I can't remember because I've been listening to, like, over this weekend, okay, while I was fixing my computer, which, yay, it's up and running, hopefully for the long run, but as of right now, I'm recording on this guy and everything seems to be fine. But as I was, prepping it and getting it all ready to go, I was watching and listening to a bunch of different interviews and a bunch of different coverage on this stuff. And yeah, people from, like Viva was out there on the streets today. There was a barber, okay, giving out freaking free haircuts, and he was from Medicine Hat, which is still 10 hours southeast of me, and he made the trek a couple of days after the convoy rolled through southern Alberta. There were some guys from the Northwest Territories there. There were people from Halifax that came in, okay. He was talking to a big Métis dude from British Columbia as well. And it's like every creed, every color that you can possibly think of is down there, and they're all talking the same stuff. We just want these mandates to stop, okay, from all corners of the country. And what I'm not seeing there, in contrast to what I am seeing there, no politicians, no real spokespeople that are down there, okay? Like, if this is to take the next step, okay, the people that are vying for the political leadership of the Conservative Party, which we're probably going to have to talk about tomorrow, maybe, or something like that, because there are some people starting to trickle in, and that's a good thing, but we need to focus specifically on this topic right here, because I can already feel it in my bones. This video is going to be a mile long, because there's so much shit to talk about. And again, we just need a big face, somebody who's the face of this movement. And I know that there's organizers when it comes to the Freedom Convoy proper, like the fundraiser, okay, the people who have everybody put in a place. But okay, I've listened to interviews from BJ Dichter or something like that, Benjamin, whatever his name is. I know his name's going to come up here in a minute anyways, but he's not really that much of a communicator. Okay, I've seen a couple of interviews out there and I'm less than impressed, to say the least. And yeah, there were a couple of people that spoke over the weekend, but we could really use like a Stephen Harper down there to really rally the people, like anybody who's actually elected in Parliament, like Pierre Poilievre, if he'd like to go down there and lend his support to this type of stuff, because that's the next step it's going to take. And if this goes, and if this continues before it gets cracked down on by the government into next weekend, that would really make the difference, and I guess kind of legitimize it, because there's still a lot of people out there that think that, oh, this is either a small protest of just fringe radicals and everybody's out there shitting and pissing on the streets, and there's multiple accusations of assault and violence that's happening down there. Okay, like I said, I've watched hours of the coverage that's gone on there, and the streets are cleaner than even they are in Grand Prairie. Okay, like it's remarkable. Okay, no trash. Okay, no shit, no piss on the streets. Okay, and there's dogs everywhere, and the people. Okay, like last week sometime it snowed, and what are these these protesters, these radical fringe minority, these anti-vax people, what are they doing? They're making sure that the steps of the War Memorial are clean. They're out there shoveling, and they're out there picking up garbage and putting it in the bags, okay, to make sure that the streets are clean, okay? Oh, but they're blocking off all of the roads. There's always one lane of traffic completely open downtown, okay? And that's it. That's all they are. That's the only place where they're at. And there's multiple stories from multiple people that are out there. And of course, throughout the rest of this week, I'm probably going to have one video dedicated every single day to this. But if you want to see the people going on the street, obviously, I think Viva said he'd be back down there on Thursday, and there was like 30,000 people at its peak watching his coverage at the time. So obviously, if you're listening to me, you're probably aware of that. But there's at least a dozen people that are down there live at any given time. And if you think that it's just a small group of whatever a white supremacist in Canada could possibly look like, if you just think that it's a group of those people, just these unkempt truckers, just these angry white men that are down there, no, it's not. It's really not. Like, there's nothing less true about that, other than, well, the guy who won't go down there to talk to any of these people that are out there at the protest. Like, what are we? Yeah, we're day seven on this protest proper, and Trudeau is still nowhere to be found in the capital. Like, it's impressive, okay? Thursday before, okay, like, this was last week, okay? Not last Thursday, but the Thursday before that. Oh, I tested positive for COVID. Now I got to go away. And also the reason why I've got to, go away is also because of safety concerns, because these truckers are just going to be violent extremists as well, which already painted them in a bad light. But there's been, like, no reports of anybody doing anything, and anything that has been alleged has been thoroughly debunked. So it's like, okay, this is the definition of a peaceful fucking protest. Yeah, there's honks, and now, thanks to a court decision, which we're going to get to very shortly, the honking may have ceased. So, like I said, this is going to be this is going to be the biggest test going on this week, because I just can't believe the government's just being so openly against its people. Like, for as great as it is to see the national pride that's been manifesting in Ottawa and in these other breakaway protests in other places around the country, where thousands of people are turning up again, and that happened over the weekend in Toronto, and I think there was one in Edmonton, Vancouver as well, and then there's another one that we're going to talk about closer to the end, where nobody's talking about that one. Fucking weird how that happens. But anyways, yeah, so this is a popular cause. It's not a fringe minority case at all whatsoever at this point, and I think you guys know that anyways. But yeah, Trudeau, he's nowhere in Ottawa. Okay, where the fuck is he? It's like, okay, you have this many people for this long, okay? Yeah, there's a lot of banners. Yeah, there's a lot of flags out there that say fuck Trudeau, truck Trudeau, whatever the hell you want to call it. They're not happy with you, but they have pretty good reason, because every time you take to Twitter, whenever you release a public sentiment, you're just calling them racist, misogynist, anti-vaxxers, anti-science, violent extremists, that you're just down there occupying Ottawa, and that's not the way to voice your opinion. Well, if you can't go down there and you can't protest in public, if you can't do it as peacefully as all of these people are, I don't know what better way to do it. But apparently there has been some developments as to what Mr. Trudeau is actually doing, and he's in private meetings as the capital is in a state of emergency. Yes, okay, so I'd like to know where these private meetings and what's being discussed is exactly that. But yes, the mayor of Ottawa has declared a state of emergency. Over what exactly? Okay, his justification for doing this is ridiculous, but to call a state of emergency, as we've seen over the past 2 years, the bar for doing that is pretty fucking low. So I don't know what's going to be happening in the long term, man, but with Canada's capital in a state of emergency, more on that in a moment, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has taken another day away from the public, and he's probably unlikely to return for as long as the trucks are there. We're going to see who's going to blink first in this never-ending game of chicken. I think you know who's ultimately going to bore out on this one. Well, Saturday was listed as a personal day for Trudeau on his official itinerary. Monday was listed as a day of private meetings. The Prime Minister was widely criticized for taking days to work from home after a supposed exposure to Omicron. Oh, and then I tested positive. How are those 3 vaccines working out for you? That took place the same day that the Freedom Convoy rolled into Ottawa. Days later, the Prime Minister would confirm that he had contracted the coof from one of his children. Oh, okay. And would have to work home at the same time. And thanks to some autists on 4chan, they kind of figured out exactly where he was hiding, but I don't have any of those specific details, nor do I really care, because going to see him would just legitimize his, oh my god, they're just out here and they're gonna try to kill me and my safety concerns. No, we don't want to see you, but we just like to see you step down from your position. But outside of that, like, that's as far as you're gonna go, so whatever. He's trying to wait this out instead of trying to do anything. No, he just has his lackeys out there just trying to push his narrative for him, because, okay, like, I'm kind of shocked, okay, watching a bunch of different trials and watching a bunch of different legal proceedings take place. Like, this seemed to go really quickly, okay? Ottawa residents and the truckers protest to face off in court. You'd think that this is a good thing, but no, this is just some lonely cat lady who, I don't know, maybe she was the one who put that Reddit post out there where it's like, oh my god, my cat is just so scared that it just keeps shitting in the bed. Well, no, get a load of this. An Ontario court is set to hear arguments today, and we have a ruling on this one, by the way, in a $10 million lawsuit filed by an Ottawa resident against the truckers. $10 million, huh? Just seems weird. How much did that GoFundMe get up to? Oh, just over $10 million. Weird. Against the truckers' Freedom Convoy for damages allegedly caused by honking of horns during the ongoing protests against federal COVID-19 mandates and restrictions on February 4th, 21-year-old Ottawa resident Lexi Lee. Fuck off. Is that your screen name? Is that your OnlyFans handle? You fucking whore. Filed a lawsuit in the Ontario Superior Court seeking damages for emotional and mental distress, headaches, sleeping difficulties, difficulty concentrating, and interference with the use and enjoyment of her home. Ugh. God, okay, and that's another thing, okay, when you watch some of this coverage from the people who are live streaming from on the ground, not the media's representation of this, because I've overheard some mainstream outlets' coverage of this. Oh, the extremists that are down there, they're just honking from sun up to sundown. It's like, okay, maybe that was the case for the first couple of days. Like, this is the testimony that people have said, okay, just interviewing them on the street. They're out there saying that, yeah, okay, the honking might have happened, and these are from people who actually like live in Ottawa, by the way, close to where it's happening, within or around. I've heard a couple of different interviews from people who live within 2 or 3 blocks of the epicenter of the protest proper, saying, no, I don't hear anything from where I live. But okay, that might be sympathetic people, all right, but the most concrete evidence we have of the incessant honking, the non-stop honking, was in the first couple of days. And then they came to agreement. The truckers and whoever came to an agreement that they would only be honking from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. The designated time during the day where you're allowed to make as much noise as you want, okay? Like, whenever construction happens, okay, they have the hours of operation where you're allowed to make a reasonable amount of noise. It might differ from place to place, but I think maybe in Grand Prairie it's from 7 until 10. It's something like that. There's always a window. And that's what the truckers have been abiding by. Like, this is the most peaceful, this is the most law-abiding protest I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. But again, this fucking quack, you see the name, Lexi Lee, you'd have to think that this is some kind of a fucking radical. This is somebody who, probably lives miles away from the protest, okay, and just wanted to make a quick buck on this and just wanted to get those goddamn dirty truckers back to their fucking caves in Alberta, you bunch of fucking mongoloids. And again, if you want this insensate honking, just go watch any of those live streams and you'll just find out that, yeah, it's intermittent at best. Even on Saturday, but whatever, when it was at its biggest. But yeah, no, we got to weaponize our Ontario courts, right? Lawsuit names 4 Freedom Convoy organizers: Chris Barber, Benjamin Dichter, Tamara Litch, and Patrick King, and up to 60 big rig drivers with unknown names. Yeah, just the trucks that are the ones that I've seen before, you know, the ones. So okay, if it's only 60 big rig truckers, and yeah, again, you just watch what's down there. There are thousands of vehicles that are down there, so why just name 60 of them? It seems like an incomplete kind of scattershot protest. And again, just trying to sue the 4 people who organized this. They don't control everybody who's down there. It's a peaceful assembly of people. So again, it seems like there's a bunch of holes in this. The lawsuit seeks an injunction to stop the non-stop blaring of horns it's really not, but that have caused unbearable torment for the roughly 6,000 residents living closest to the protest. You might have seen a couple of videos that are out there. There was this one Spurg, I think he was in like a blue winter coat, and he was freaking out and was like, I haven't been able to sleep in days, and he's banging on windows, causing more damage than any of the truckers have, and he looks hilarious doing it. But any of the videos that you see, like we've played a couple of them, they're all during daylight hours, so I don't know what we're talking about here, but again, okay, it looks like the courts are buying in on the propaganda. Nothing to really report during the protests, or rather, the substance of this article, other than the headline: Ontario judge grants the injunction to prevent honking in downtown Ottawa. So the honking will no longer be the honking; it'll just be the idling. Sort of, maybe, kind of. But those are the people that are down there at the protest. Very white, very supremacist, right? Obviously. So again, they got a 10-day injunction on this one. 10-day injunction will prevent the truckers parked in downtown Ottawa from honking. We'll see what happens on Saturday when this starts to ramp up again, but we'll see if it gets that far, because of the Ottawa Police, okay, there are 3 branches that are down there right now. There's the Ottawa Police proper, there's the RCMP, and then there's, I think, York Police have been called in as well. Like, there's the federal level, there's the local level, and there's probably more rolling in as well, but this is all we know so far. So the Ottawa Police, okay, this was after the lovely mayor called a state of emergency. You're no longer allowed to help the truckers that are down there. You're just supposed to expect them to starve and die, right? On Sunday, the Freedom Convoy organizers held a press conference to discuss their actions in Ottawa, Ontario. Ottawa Police announced that anyone who provides materials to support the trucker may be subject to arrest. And again, that's another thing that you find out when you're watching some of these live streams. Most of the cops that are down there are just like reasonable people who are just, they're there in the confines that they're police officers. That's not the proper terminology, but go with me on that one. They're there as police officers in their lime green high visibility jackets, and they're just down there making sure that nothing goes wrong. And there was a counter protest on Saturday, something that I'd just like to bring up as well, and it was a pretty dismal event, but there was a lot of cops that were around this. A couple of dozen people that were there that weren't exactly the most verbose and willing to explain their stance, as opposed to the people who were down there for the Freedom Convoy. Okay, pretty much everybody would be fine talking and displaying their support, but you go and talk to, and Viva was down there and he was talking. There's a 30 to 40 minute cut on his channel of when he was over there talking to some of the counter protesters, and their opinion of what should be going on ranges anywhere from, okay, well, we got the jab, so everybody else needs to get the jab. Just go ahead and just assuming that all of the truckers that are down there, okay, they're just unjabbed monsters, and that nobody else has any sort of an opinion outside of that. I am damn sure that some of the people that are in that convoy, maybe more of them are not jabbed than there are. I don't really care either way, but some of them have got to be more important than just my jab, my fucking vaccine, all that kind of nonsense. Okay, more important than that, they just don't want to have the government tell them and micromanage their life. That's what they're all about. But then you ask these counter protesters what exactly they're about. Well, they just want everybody else to just listen to the government. That's basically what it boils down to. Okay, like they'd all have the same stock answers. It's like, oh, well, it's an imposition of the government to have red lights on a street, or my driver's license. It's like, wow, you're just going to go ahead and you're going to conflate a driver's license to a medical procedure done to you that's irreversible. Those are two things that mesh well together. I don't think so, but these people are just so ideologically gone. Like, those are that's the most reasonable crowd of the people who would actually be willing to talk, an overwhelming majority of which wouldn't. All of them behind their black masks, which definitely didn't look orchestrated at all, or definitely didn't look like it was the best well attended by the media, by the police, and then by a drone that was up there just hoping to catch some sort of violent outburst that was there. I'm sure, but yeah, nothing really came to fruition there. And And then again, some of the most extreme people that were out there, they were like, nope, we like mandates. We like big daddy government telling everybody what they have to do. We think that that is the best course of action. And how do you argue with those people? If they are so far gone that they think that the state is in control of literally every aspect, and that you shouldn't question anything, just follow along with the people in the fucking nice brick buildings down the street. If you just want to listen to them at all times, okay, fine. You want to live your life that way? That's fine. The rest of the people that are down there, the thousands of people in the fringe minority, they have different opinions on how things should go, and I would frankly side with them as opposed to these fucking just joyless cretins who just looked angry and just miserable people. And there wasn't that many of them, so I guess. And you know what, hey, have you ever been around somebody who just wants who just endlessly simps for the government? They aren't that fun of a time. So yeah, anyways, back to this. Yeah, so the Ottawa Police Department, where I think that's where I tangented off. Sorry, there's just so much stuff to cover, and I want to be fair to everything that's going on. But the police officers that are down there, they're good, okay? They don't really see, like, nobody's reported they haven't seen anything, haven't really done anything, and they aren't really, you know what, being all that forthright with enforcing these ludicrous ideas that anybody doing anything to help the truckers should be stopped and condemned and thrown in jail. It just doesn't make any fucking sense, now does it? So what do the higher ups want? Okay, so more people that are in their ivory towers. Okay, Ottawa Liberals, or I'm sorry, Ontario Liberals, so the official opposition party, the small minority of Liberals that are there, because I think I don't know necessarily how provincial government in Ontario works. They just seem like they're totally fucked from the top to the bottom. But the Ontario Liberals threatened to confiscate trucks if they don't leave Ottawa. How could you? I don't get that one. I don't fucking get this one. These are probably the same people. If you troll through any of their social media and any of their virtue signaling posting, no. Anybody who's down there, you need to make sure that everybody hears their voice, and we stand with you, brother, on this one. Unless, of course, it's the people in the Peterbilts. So just some of this. The Ontario Liberals announced on Monday that they are calling for Doug Ford, Premier Doug Ford. He might act like it, but he's actually not a Liberal. Government to potentially seize the trucks of those who have participated in the Freedom Convoy that has entered its second week in Ottawa. The Liberals want Ford to proceed with a leave now or risk losing your truck message. I don't know what law you'd cite to justify getting rid of the trucks, like, or just seizing them. I really don't fucking get that. But again, just for clarification, so the state of emergency and the Ottawa Police Department, so the foot soldiers of the theoretical Ontario Liberal Party, okay, and the Ottawa Liberal Party, and an overwhelming majority of the ruling class just want to starve out the truckers, because that's a part of the support. And there's also been stories that some people that live in Ottawa, okay, they go up to the truckers and it's like, do you need a place to stay for the evening? Okay, do you need somebody? Do you need some laundry facilities? Need to use a bathroom? Getting enough to eat? They're out there. They're supporting the truckers that are down there. The people, the constituents, support the people that are there. So again, those 6,000 people affected for that lawsuit by, I forget her name, whatever, Cam Horse 684, whatever the fuck is affecting her being able to take pictures of her feet to send them and put them on the internet, okay? Whatever's disrupting her photo shoot of her sticking a flagpole in her box. That's not what's actually happening on the streets. So I made reference of this in the beginning, but you know what? Hey, we'll just run it back once again, because this is the most open and flagrant abuse of what everybody has seen as being the most well-known relationship between big tech and governments around the world, okay? Like, governments are just another enforcement wing of, say, governments. Big tech is just the enforcement wing of so many supposed liberal governments out there in the world. Well, this is the most open and transparent admission that there is just a hand-in-hand effort going on to make sure that dissenting opinions will be quashed. As GoFundMe says, all donations to Truckers Convoy will be automatically refunded, and now Florida will investigate it, alongside a bunch of other Republican attorney generals, because so far, okay, outside of just, oh yeah, we're thinking about getting rid of some mandates, okay, that's what Jason Kenney, okay, Premier of Alberta, a couple of days, I think he said that late Thursday or maybe even Friday or something. Oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna start, we'll take a look maybe in February, okay, maybe in a couple of weeks time we'll start to drop some mandates. The only one so far who's come out and said anything is that Scott Moe, Premier of Saskatchewan. He's like, yeah, he was also the last one to implement any of the mandates, which he still did, by the way, so never forget. But he was talking about just dropping mandates out forthright, but Kenny was like, oh yeah, we'll think about it maybe in a couple of days. And it's like, yeah, whatever, sure. I'll believe it when I fucking see it, you cunt. No other politicians really doing anything on the ground for the truckers that are actually there, you know, the people that, you know, are handing you a fucking movement on a silver platter. If you just like to go ahead and do something, okay, that'd be great, but no, leave that up to American counterparts, okay? And I know GoFundMe is headquartered there, but how about do something about that? Because they were, okay, before they said that they were going to start automatically refunding, which we seen that from a couple of days ago, the National Post article, the last time that we talked about this stuff, that was going up there as well. People were receiving unsolicited refund notifications, and it looks like that just ended up boring out. But they were initially, okay, GoFundMe was initially going to just seize all of the funds raised. Can you believe that? Like, they were just going to take them and they were going to distribute them to charities that they saw fit. Can you fucking believe that? Well, at least that changed. And still, okay, this is going to be... This is a black eye for GoFundMe, okay? This is just proving that there's going to be a dichotomous economy in the future. The only way that can go from this, and thank God, GiveSendGo is out there, and they have actually started a parallel fundraising effort for the truckers that are out there, and I'll pull that up here in a second, but we'll just get through this. GoFundMe fundraising platform said February 5th it would automatically refund donations made by the trucker convoy in Canada protesting vaccine mandates after backlash. Which backlash did they receive, and how did they get it? Who delivered that message? Well, GoFundMe said Friday it was preventing the funds from going to organizers of the Freedom Convoy and would instead send money to established charities verified by GoFundMe. That was their initial plan for this. So literally stealing the money of people who donated it directly for the Freedom Convoy, and then just thinking that, oh yeah, no, we're just going to go ahead and take your funds. You haven't done necessarily anything illegal. We're just going to go ahead and swipe them up, and we're just going to do with that shit what we will. That's what we normally call theft, or grand theft, really, but yeah, I guess they thought better of themselves. The justification for the unusual move? We now have the evidence from law enforcement that the previously peaceful demonstration has become an occupation. Oh, that's news to everyone. How is it an occupation? Or is that just the Ottawa Police Department saying that, oh no, things have changed and we have reports. Listen, if they could, they would drag everybody out of the city if there was anything illegal going on. But there isn't. They haven't passed any of the laws to make this illegal yet. They haven't found any justification for any illegal activities because there isn't any manifesting. So they're just lying to GoFundMe, and GoFundMe was just all too willing. They were already bent over, and then they just grabbed their cheeks, pulled it apart, and said, wherever you want to put it. John Carpe, president of the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom, a legal group representing the convoy organizers, and he's also been fronting a bunch of these vaccine mandate, mask mandate challenges, any sort of stupid coof policies across the country. So he's rather a forward face in this endeavor. Told the Times that the fundraising company has no credibility without making the evidence public. Yeah, exactly, because there's no evidence. There's nothing. Oh, there's been allegations and reports. Nothing's manifest, okay? You don't see anything. You don't hear anything from anybody. Oh, truckers were stealing food from homeless people. They literally have free food for anybody who shows up just about on every fucking corner. And then to bring it back to Viva, when he was on the street, he was also interviewing somebody else who worked for a homeless shelter in the area. It was a social worker of some form or function, okay? And she said that, no, that's not the case, okay? The truckers were pretty much staying to that 3-4 block radius, okay? They were just staying to their area, and they've been handing out food, regardless if you're there for the protest, if you're there for a counter-protest, or if you're just a normal homeless man just walking around with a quilt and just taking a shit in the middle of the park. It doesn't much matter. You're hungry, you want something to eat, go grab a burger, go grab some sausage. It's all going to be there. No, it's just the honks. The honks are real bad. Is that what constitutes an occupation? Get the fuck out of here. In its update on Saturday, GoFundMe, which hadn't responded to the request for comment about them initially seizing the funds, claimed it had already enabled donors to get a refund only if they asked. Only if they asked. Otherwise, if you didn't ask and you didn't want to request the refund, they would continue to seize your funds and then just, I don't know, probably just give them to some sort of Black Lives Matter charity. Let's be fucking honest. However, due to donor feedback, we are simplifying the process. We will automatically refund all contributions directly to donors, and they do not need to submit a request. Good. That's what should have happened to begin with. Actually, you shouldn't have made this a fucking political game. You should have just left the fundraiser, or you should have just let the fundraiser go. Because anybody paying attention to this, which is a lot of people, by the way, know that GoFundMe is now a political actor. And guess what? You just halved your user base. Just literally overnight. Now GiveSendGo. Last time I seen it, and we're going to pull it up. Yeah, you guys can see that right there. This one was set up just over the weekend. And I want to show you something freaking amazing. Okay, like they have a goal. Like you got to set a goal, and it's like obviously they don't really care how much they raise, and it really doesn't much matter. But just in a couple of days, 5.1 million. Okay, like even this morning when I first looked at it, just to see if everything's progressing nicely, $5,086,000. I think it was something like that, but that's incredibly impressive. But when this first got started, okay, I'm going to show you the top donations. If the mouse, it's good to be back on the old computer, so now the old problems can just show up once again. Anyways, yeah, the top donations, that's not a typo. That is $215,000. $20,000, $20,000, $20,000, $20,000, 18, 17, 6, 15, 10, 10, 9,000, 5,500, over and over, and they're still just keep fucking rolling in, and it's really great to see. And this is GiveSendGo. Okay, so this is going to be what conservatives or whoever get branded conservatives are going to have to do in order to do any sort of crowdfunding in the future. And if you really think that was a one-off for GoFundMe, and that oh no, this is just for something that was bad, and it was something that was just going to happen to something that was illegal. Well, we've got a bridge in New York to sell you, by the way, and don't think that it's just going to stop for people who manifest wrong think with just crowdfunding efforts, just get pulled at the nearest whiff of dissenting opinion. Remember how Trump lost a couple of bank accounts for no good reason? Think that's not going to be coming for the average everyday workaday individual? Just saying, keep your heads up. But yeah, like I said a little bit earlier, and to just cap that off, Republican Attorney Generals pledged to investigate GoFundMe after trucker fundraiser taken down, because at least they can have a little bit of fucking foresight on this one. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody, Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry, West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey signaled that they would be looking into the matter. My office will be looking into whether or not GoFundMe violated our state laws, and that's according to Landry in Louisiana, who you'd imagine, okay, I know that this is a Canadian issue, but GoFundMe is an American company, and you'd have to think that some people from Louisiana would be funding that as well, so they would have damages in some form or fashion. But Florida, I'm pretty sure that it's centered in Florida. But yeah, when interviewing the organizers, the Freedom Convoy organizers, you know, some of the ones that were sued by that busybody. More information as to why GoFundMe decided to pull the rug underneath it, or out from underneath everyone. After GoFundMe pulled down the fundraiser, I guess, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson thanked the company for listening to the plea made by the city proper, the city organizers, and the Ottawa Police to no longer provide funds to the convoy organizer. If that isn't just transparent collusion between governments and big tech, I don't know what is. I'm hopeful that limiting their access to funding and resources will restrict their ability to remain in Ottawa. So you see this headline, you might think that it's a good thing. Canadian Parliamentary Committee wants GoFundMe to testify on trucker convoy funds, but then you realize that this is from February 4th. So it's like, what the fuck was going on here? Well, actually, it looks like they were probably receiving threats and pressure. GoFundMe, this is from the local government in Ottawa, the provincial government in Ontario, and then from the feds as well. Go figure. The House of Commons Committee wants to hear from the fundraising platform GoFundMe about the millions of dollars collected so far by organizers of the Freedom Convoy. Listen, if anybody is organizing and they're fundraising millions of dollars, it's us elected officials, not those fucking dirty truckers. On February 3rd, the Committee on Public Safety and National Security voted unanimously on a motion put forward by NDP. You know, the New Democratic Party. The party that has a little bit of a socialist slant, okay? The party that would theoretically be all about the working class wants to know, as soon as possible, to learn about the source of the funds and what safeguards are in place to ensure that the money isn't used to promote extremism. Okay, then. That's where we're at now. And again, more pressure from the feds on this one. That's why this week, man, it's going to be tough. Canadian Transport Minister says provinces should cancel licenses of truckers involved in protest blockades. Yep. So you got the official transport minister, okay? Another one of these creepy looking cretins from the Trudeau cabinet. He should probably stay there looking like that. But once again, just a crackdown on protest. This, I don't know, because we've never seen a protest like this on this type of scale, but we've never seen the government just weaponized against its people like this, at least in a Western country, and for a very long time, okay? Federal Minister of Transport, Omar Al-Habra, is asking provinces to use their powers to suspend the commercial licenses or insurance of trucks used to protest convoy blockades in different parts of Canada. The provinces have extensive regulatory powers over commercial trucking and road transportation to help end this unlawful occupation. God, that's just really starting to seem a lot like insurrection now, isn't it? I know that verbiage has been used quite a bit by the ruling class so far, but yep, no, it's January 6th, insurrection. Okay, Freedom Convoy is now an occupation. We're just, the desecration of words is almost as amazing as the crackdown on liberties and freedom. Blockading the streets and highways. You can still fucking transverse them, stupid, but you haven't left your office. I'd imagine not. You probably haven't waited about the public because, there's just so many white supremacists and I look like this and the people that are down there look like this. Wait, what? No, that's not, that's photoshopped fabrication. That's all lies. There's only white supremacists down there and they're all misogynists. So why did they bring their kids and their little girls down there to see freedom and action? I don't get it. Stop it. Canadians are being deliberately misled by the Trudeau government and their arms in the media. Well, yeah, obviously. On the large diversity of supporters of the trucker convoy demonstrated in Ottawa, an academic says, since the Freedom Convoy converged in Canada's capital on January 29th to protest federal vaccine mandates. So is that Occupation Day, or did it become an occupation a couple days later? I'm not entirely sure. Don't really care. Fucking I don't even know if tyranny's a strong enough word anymore. Protest has inspired parallel movements in the United States, Europe, Australia, and the Netherlands. The U.S.-Canada border blockade in Coutts, Alberta. Oh, by the way, on that one, and I'd love to do maybe a little bit more of a deep dive, and that's the more I see going on there. Like over the weekend, 100 cowboys. This is Alberta, so it didn't really seem that foreign to me, but literally 100 cowboys on the back of horses were down there at the protest as well, helping out with the blockade, which still hasn't ceased. And there was also, so the provincial government, or one of the governments in the area, tried to get all of the trucks, tried to get them all towed, but it was beautiful because there were multiple tow truck companies within the area call to see if they could come and get rid of these evil insurrectionist trucks, and it was magical because all of the tow trucks, they were magically busy and they couldn't make it down to the protest. Still going strong as far as I know. But anyways, yeah, which included a major counter-protest in Vancouver over the weekend. Yeah, and in Edmonton, the one still going on in Coutts. I'm sure Calgary probably was doing something because Calgary's pretty based as well. Saskatchewan, you'd have to think. A massive one in Toronto. Quebec City, which it's so wild. It's so wild because, yeah, I take jabs at French Canada for various good reasons because they're just fucking weird people. Mostly have a very communist predilections, but they've been hit incredibly hard by the mandates and the lockdowns and just flat out authoritarianism by Francois Legault, the premier over there, with their unvaccinated tax, which was thankfully repealed, but the vaccine passports, curfews, masks literally everywhere outside of, and if you guys don't pay attention and you don't fucking shape up a bit, it could be in your shower as well. Amazing to see the pictures coming out of the Quebec City protests when you have, yes, you have the fleur-de-lis, you have the Quebec flags side by side with the maple leaf, which is fucking amazing, because it's like every other decade they're trying to leave Canada. But the moment that the Freedom Convoy converged and the overwhelming support that's been out there for them started to manifest, this is the most unifying thing that's ever happened in Canada for, is at least in my lifetime, if not of all time. I can't think of anything that's come close. It has also garnered support from Tesla CEO Elon Musk, yes, tweeting, and he should really start doing a little bit more, just saying, but we'll probably talk about that here in a moment. And podcast giants Russell Brand and Joe Rogan, topic for the second video, because obviously there's been some developments there as well, and hopefully that won't be as long as this video. Despite support at home and from abroad for the protests, major Canadian media outlets have aligned with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. All of them. Just about all of them, the major ones for sure. And it's weird because they continue to say that, oh, the people that are down there are fringe minority, and an allegory I'm going to make for the next video as well. But you have the likes of CNN and MSNBC saying that Joe Rogan and his fringe ideology, when he has like 11 million people viewing every episode, okay, and then CNN's top rated show can't even get 1 million viewers, so who really is the fringe? And again, to just bring him up for like the 35th time, because I've been watching a lot of his coverage because it's been really good. Viva having 30,000 people watch his live stream, okay, and it's been growing every single day he's been down there, okay. Your average CBC telecast, it might get 100,000 people watching, okay, and there's multiple people that are down there broadcasting to thousands of people as well. So the people actually seeing what's down there is probably neck and neck, okay? So fringe minority, the protesters are all anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, anti-black, homophobic and transphobic and blah, 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 all that type of shit. When you have Sikhs support the Freedom Convoy, okay, and again, this is where I can lend some of my expertise. Being in the oil patch for, I don't know, like the better part of a decade of my life, I know the diversity of the group that's out there, and there's a bunch of different trucking corporations that are out there. There are a bunch of different oil patch corporations that are out there, and let's just say there's a few of them, and most of the big ones, like your Calfracs, your Tricans, okay, they hire anybody. Okay, they run massive fucking job fairs, nearly monthly, especially when they're busy during the winter, just before, just after breakup, to get everybody going for either the summer season or the winter season, okay? And on a fracking crew, on a service rig crew, you're going to have a diverse group of people. Not like it matters, it's just the people who want to show up and do the fucking work. And, okay, there's also another company that's out here, okay, Sangel, and they have a very special nickname. You might be able to think, based on the people that are in the picture right there, for very good reason. Most of their truck drivers are Sikhs, are Muslims, so I know that people like that drive trucks, and they'd definitely be affected by this type of stuff, because once again, you take a look at the vaccination numbers, and you take a look at the people who aren't getting the poke, and the people who would be most affected by these vaccine passports, they look a little bit browner. Something that would eventually have to get reconciled, unless of course you're like mainstream media, or just legacy media in Canada, because they aren't really mainstream, because you just take a look at the numbers that are out there, and mainstream, no, it's just the most easily accessible media that's out there. They're just painting it as a picture of one group of people against another, when in actuality it's just the media against the truth. Sorry to say. But yeah, just a little bit more on this topic, because like I said, Jesus, I didn't think the video would be this long, but here we are. Anyways, I've never seen such camaraderie. Ginny Bruno, a Cold Lake First Nations woman based in Edmonton, said she made the trip to Ottawa on January 28th to stand up for human rights, for the and for Indigenous rights. Yeah, there's a lot of Métis, there's a lot of Indigenous iconography that's down there. So to just say that the truckers and that everybody that are down there protesting, you're against Native rights or Indigenous rights, whatever the fuck you want to call them, It's just not true. All you need to do is just tune into a live stream for like 10 seconds and you will see somebody with the skin tone of Ginny, okay? Somebody from a reserve, somebody who has Métis heritage. It's not tough to see that it's just lies. This is the biggest lying media campaign that I've ever seen in my life. Both sides of the border. This is just so patently obvious. So yeah, as we head into the evening down in Ottawa, I don't know how this thing's going to shake out for the rest of the week, and I hope they continue to stay strong. I really do hope that this continues on through the weekend. I hope this continues until everybody stops, and the more I see this stuff, the more I am inclined to go do something in person, but I'm broke as fuck, and I can't go down to any major rally, show any sort of major support. All I can do is just continue to spread the good word and cover this as best as I can. So that's what I'm gonna do now that everything seems to be up and running again, thank God. But yeah, Ottawa Police seize fuel from Freedom Convoy protests and make more arrests, because I guess the way that they're gonna try to get the trucks off the road is they're gonna run them out of fuel and then have it as some sort of littering or some dumb shit like that. I don't know, because they're all fucked in the head anyway. So however they're going to get to their end desired goal on this one, to just get the trucks out of there, they're going to try to starve them out. They're going to try to freeze them out. They're just treating them like inhumane monsters, okay? And again, conflicting reports on this, but as the evening goes on, I don't really know. And looking at the forecast in the foreseeable future, it looks relatively mild, okay? So that's one good thing that they have going for them. But again, if you're going to have to start working on fuel management for these trucks that are out there, because you aren't going to be allowing them to receive any fueling, because any sort of help to this unlawful protest, which again, cite the law that they're breaking, by helping them, you can be arrested, and that's what they're going to use for justification that this is an unlawful assembly. Okay. Police in Canada's capital have begun to seize fuel, and they say they have made multiple arrests after issuing a statement saying that those trying to bring supplies to support to the thousands of protesters opposed to the COVID-19 mandates and restrictions gathered in the city would be arrested. A statement issued at 9 p.m. local time. This is, maybe it's accurate for today. It says it was updated today, but I'm not entirely sure. Police said that they have arrested 7 people. I heard 10, but I guess they issued a statement saying 7, and the arrests were made for mischief charges throughout the day, which is just a lovely catch-all term. So what do they mean by mischief? Going against what you guys call assisting in an unlawful gathering, or mischief, like what, tugging on the jacket of a police officer and then just cowering and cackling as they run away? Like, what definition of mischief are we using here? Protesters who spoke to Epoch Times said they didn't arrest them on February 6th for carrying fuel, but gave them a warning that they would be facing arrest for bringing in fuel to the protest starting February 7th. People who bring food, water, gasoline, or other supplies to peacefully protest truckers are not breaking any law. There is no basis for the police threat. JCCF, the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, John Carpe, who we mentioned earlier, but this is Nicholas Wansbuter, said in a statement, in a free and democratic society that is governed by the rule of law, citizens can freely associate with each other, including the giving and receiving of goods and gifts. We've seen that continue throughout the day, and again, no real eyewitness reports of anybody being arrested, but if they're saying that they're arresting people for mischief, we don't know. We don't have the official statement on this, and it's not something that's going to be covered other than, protests continue to go on, and you're not allowed to help them anymore because they're just evil insurrectionists. But again, they won't talk about something else, because again, I've been catching and just seeing how the mainstream media is reporting this, and they're just the mirror image of this, okay? Like, they're just burning down everything in Ottawa. But again, if they were actually burning down everything in Ottawa, they'd have reporters, CBC, CTV, Global, they'd have all their reporters out there saying it's a fiery but mostly peaceful protest. But they wouldn't talk about one other thing that happened Saturday evening. After, most of the people had gone away for the evening, okay, after most of the protests were clearing out, there was one that was happening in Winnipeg, the capital of Manitoba, the biggest city in Manitoba. They had another one of their few thousand people show up, and this is one image from the protest that's down there with the huge flags. Jesus, I thought that was just perception at this point, but fuck, they had a huge rally down there. And yeah, somebody got Jeep of Peace. Actually, 4 people got Jeep of Peace at the protest, okay? So yeah, there's violence going on at some of these protests. It's just happening against the protesters. Won't talk about it now, will they? Final story for this, I promise. Man has been charged after 4 people were injured when a Jeep ran into a group of protesters who were participating in the Freedom Convoy rally on the grounds of the legislature in Winnipeg on the night of February 4th. The Jeep fled the scene down Portage Avenue, where witnesses said it was traveling at high speeds and running red lights. I seen some images of this one, and it was dark, okay? So, and again, this is Canada, and like Winnipeg, so dark could be at like 7 o'clock in the evening, like pitch black, okay, on the streets. And yeah, there were people milling about on the sidewalk. And then a white Jeep Compass, I think it was. Yeah, it just started to Allahu Akbar up the sidewalks and fucking Daryl Brooks his way through. Well, allegedly 4 people. I thought it would be worse. Winnipeg Police arrested a 42-year-old man from Headingley, Manitoba. I don't know if that's close. Maybe it is. Who knows? He is facing a number of charges, including 4 counts of assault with a weapon, that'd be a vehicle, 2 counts of dangerous operations of a conveyance cause a bodily harm, and 2 counts of failing to stop at the scene of an accident that you caused. In a press conference on February 5th, Rob Carver, a public information officer with a Winnipeg Police, was asked to comment on the motivation of the accused. Gee, I wonder what that could possibly be. Who is in police custody. The accused was not participating in the protest, we could tell. What some comments he made after his arrest suggested that his motivation was not specifically about the underlying cause of the protest or the mandates. Oh, really? Cool. Nice vagary you have there. It's just weird that somebody would show up, okay, from not in Winnipeg proper, and then just, I don't know, mow through a crowd of people. The fucking weird coincidence we have here. 3 men sustained minor injuries and received medical attention on site, while a 4th man was treated at hospital and released. He was probably the guy who was in the high visibility jacket that I seen who had his leg run over. Yeah, it's pretty disturbing. I won't bother playing that for you guys, but you can find that out there. It was moving at a fairly decent clip, and it was, and it's pretty miraculous, okay? Sounds like a song lyric. That nobody sustained any serious injuries, Carver said. Oh, cool. Winnipeg Police had previously described the protests as peaceful until some asshole decided to not make them peaceful, which again, for 8 days so far in Ottawa, no reports of this, but you have one idiot who's out here, okay? And it is, to be fair, one idiot, but with a propensity to become more if they didn't have such institutional power, which we've seen on display throughout the entirety of the video. And Carver said he believed that the incident was a one-off. No, it's fine. These counter-protesters who were out there, actually, we don't even know. It could have just been a helpful person who was out there on the streets. Nothing to see here. That it was simply a one-off. Yeah, no, it's just one lone wolf person. But again, all of those mean, awful, white supremacists, racist, sexist, misogynist, anti-science people that are out there, we just need to stop them. We need to just freeze them out and kill them all. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that was a huge dump of information, but it had to be done. I want to cover this as fully and completely as possible. And yeah, like I said, it's probably going to be going on every fucking day until the end of this, because for the most part, you see the people that are down there, you hear from them directly, and what are they talking about? They ain't leaving until the mandates are fucking gone, and Godspeed to every single one of them. They have nothing but my unremittent support, because it's been the most remarkable display of patriotism, okay, adherence to a platform, just the most peaceful thing I've ever seen in my entire life. If I was closer and had the means to get there, you goddamn better believe I would be. But until then, I'm just going to try to spread the good word, because that's what's needed at this point, because the coverage from the other side is overwhelming, and it's overwhelmingly wrong. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.